Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. My name is Raven, and today it has been a really big chunk of time since I last uploaded or really posted much at all online, which was not originally intentional, but at some point it just became something that I accepted as a current necessity. I know I mentioned going back to school before I fell off, and basically I had a specific class that ate up all of my time and energy for the semester, and I went into school survival mode. And now that the class is over and I have space to breathe and to think again, I'm trying to pick back up where I left off, which is not the easiest thing to do because my brain and routines have a really weird and complex relationship. So to try and ease back into content creation, I went through some of the footage that I filmed before my break and have attempted to piece it together into a vlog, which ended up being a lot longer than I was expecting, but hopefully you guys missed my videos enough to want to hang out with me a little longer than normal. Starting off, we are going back before the holidays. We unfortunately lost one of our fur babies, Mayhem, which really made the season hard. It really crushed us and made the season feel really empty, especially since Mayhem loved the holiday season. She was in love with twinkle lights and her Christmas tree, and we basically just tried to pick up the pieces as best we could, but it's always hard when you lose a part of the family. We went to the Botanic Gardens to look at their holiday lights. I don't think we're going back this year, but I tried to get some pretty footage while we were there. I got a new camera mount that goes around my neck to try and get some better POV footage when I'm crafting, which I haven't gotten nearly enough time to play with because of this whole content break, but the first time I did play around with it, I used my camera. I went a little overboard immediately and decided to multitask. So I had my phone on a stand so I could read on my Kindle app, and I was crocheting myself some booties, and because the coal tile was making the bones in my feet hurt. And then I had a somewhat hefty sized camera directly in front of my face, blocking my ability to focus my eyes on the book. So I think it was pretty hilarious with the full context, because I probably looked pretty funny trying to look around the camera and to read without knocking it sideways from leaning too far. This year we made it a point to bake more for the holidays, and I'm really glad we did because it felt really good to bake together with my spouse. I started with making fudge so that I would have time to cool and set up while we got the other treats going. I've never made fudge before, but it's one of my favorite candies, and I've always heard that's supposed to be really simple, so I made sure to add it to my baking list. I don't have a double boiler, so I had to use the microwave to make it. It felt a bit less special using the microwave, but it still tasted like fudge, so it's fine. After the fudge went in the fridge, I started to make the dough for cinnamon rolls. I like to let my dough ferment almost an entire day before and then have their final proof in the fridge overnight before baking them. I used the Baker Betty's recipe from her book, and I just followed about half the instructions and it came out great. I really like measuring by scale for my baking now, and her book has been great for that because all of the recipes are by weight first and then offered by volume. After the dough was set to proof, Zach wanted to try a recipe from one of his cookbooks, and he picked out this Russian tea cake recipe. It was a really interesting texture, but the recipe included a lot of salt, and they were kind of a savory cookie, which was interesting. He's gonna find a different recipe to try next year, is what he said he wanted to do.
These are either going to be... I'm supposed to do 400, right? Yes.
I finished the booties that I was working on earlier in the video. You can kind of see me wearing them in the background on some of the clips. And Zach wanted his own pair of chunky booties, so I tripled up some worsted weight to make them. I'm entirely stash busting at this point because our finances have been tight and I haven't had any yarn money. So the booties were different colors and it took almost an entire skein of yarn each. But hopefully next year I can get yarn and plan some nicer booties for both of us. I don't show it in the video, but I've been on a serious sock kick lately, and the booties from this vlog are part of what started it. I found instructions for patternless socks that I've been making myself, and I've just been busting my stash with lots of socks, and it's been a lot of fun. The main goal of crafting lately has been more about trying to make the best of my stash and keeping my hands busy, and hopefully when I get my accounting certificate, I'll be able to hopefully find a job that can support my hobbies, and I can finally buy yarn for cool stuff and fun projects that I have in my noggin.
Oh,
Carry gold?
don't tease.
Carry gold, bud? Man, that's really on there.
I have one, but I use it for school notes and
I decided to use the filling recipe that I have written down in my recipe cards instead of the Baker Betty one. It has a lot more cinnamon and butter, and I really like it, and I know that I like it. After I had Zach mix it up for me, I started working on the dough into cinnamon roll shapes. I'm not gonna go as far to say as that I'm good at this part, but I will say this part has gotten a lot less intimidating the more times that I've made cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls are definitely one of Zach's favorite things for me to try and make homemade, and we both want to try a bunch of flavor experiments in the future, so maybe at some point I will go as far to say that I am good at dough shaping. Not there yet, but I'm definitely less scared of it. I forgot to get a shot of the dough when it came out of the fridge before it went in the oven, but I remembered to get my camera out after they started baking, and I started on the cream cheese frosting. I went with the Baker Betty recipe again, and her frosting recipes have been really good so far. The instructions make me feel a lot less apprehensive about making frosting. I know frosting is in theory really easy to make, but powdered sugar stresses me out because it's so messy, and I always just felt like it was too much of a hassle to even bother, but her recipes are a lot easier to follow, I guess. I think I made myself an iced peppermint mocha and Zach had an iced chocolate orange latte, but it's been way too long to actually remember. But we're gonna pretend that I know for certain that that's what I made. But it was a really good Christmas morning with our coffee and homemade cinnamon rolls and fudge. I really love fudge. I love fudge so much. A few days later, I was still on winter break between classes and Zach had gone back to work, so I started on my New Year's refresh. I binge watched a lot of Michelle B's content and did a brain dump on what I wanted to focus on feeling in the new year. Going back to school and getting a job were kind of impulsive decisions that I'm glad I've made and I stand by, and it felt like a really good time to work on visualizing what I want those changes to look like and feel like. It was not planned at the beginning of last year to go back to school. I just did it towards the end of the year. After I got some brainstorming done on paper and I picked out a couple of words for the year, I started organizing it in Notion. I like my Notion dashboard setup as it is, and I like how it looks. I just wanted to update my words for 2025 at the top and what they meant to me. My words for this year are polished and whimsical. Basically, I want my systems to be so smoothed out and easy that I have the headspace to add magic and fun into facets of life that feel pretty boring and mundane. I've updated my to-do list and added a new section for my words to make them more actionable. And after I got some of the organization bits done, I started looking for pictures for my vision board. I like to set up my vision board as wallpapers on my devices so I don't have to print anything out, but I still have it in my face all the time. I love doing this at the beginning of the year. I think I've done it for the last several years now. It's actually, I can say it's a tradition. And I really like how they came together this year. The only design that I didn't do well was the iPad. Since I don't have a working stylus for my iPad right now, I've just been using it for my textbooks, so it's fine. With me being in school and having more to do, I made sure to really sink in and enjoy the cozy vibes before classes started up again. I'm really glad I did, because obviously I had no clue how hard this next semester was going to be or how much I was seriously gonna miss having time to just knit and embroider. I don't know how to completely explain it, but after I finished the tax accounting class that ate up all of my time and energy and thoughts, I got so used to spending all day, every day working on schoolwork that it took a couple of weeks after the class ended to actually adjust to having free time again and not feeling worried that I was forgetting a whole lot of stuff that I needed to get done. And it still kind of feels like I'm supposed to be in school survival mode, but I'm mostly done with my current semester already. By the way, online school semesters are freaking crazy to me. They are a little scary. Most of the winter was pretty mild this year, but we got a bit of frost on the weekend before my classes started back up. I meant to vlog in the store while we went school shopping, but I forgot about my camera as soon as we got in the store. I just got a couple of binders that were very overpriced, and then we went to Target for paper. I have found the combination of school supplies that I really like for taking my notes on, and I'm really picky about my pens and paper now. When we got home, we had a movie marathon planned out. I crocheted for the first movie so we could have the lights low, but after Hercules, I turned the lights back on so I could get started on schoolwork. I just wanted to get some reading done ahead of time, and I'm really glad I did.
Where you going? Fine. Go. It's a shiny boy now.
I got my binders set up and wrote out the reading assignments for the semester. This semester I was taking Introduction to Federal Taxation Accounting and Intermediate Financial Accounting 1. Intermediate Financial Accounting 1 was just building off of what I was already familiar with. The taxation class was very different. The reading schedule for the class was the main hurdle. There was so much to read every week. I'm not a slow reader, even if it's a boring topic, but oh, it was a struggle.
Need a break from modern living. Do you long to shed your weary load? Last year's brown awesome.
Second clip.
We spent the day watching Disney movies, and I used a Pomodoro to work on getting ahead in reading, and on the breaks I tried to work on holiday gifts that are still not finished yet in April, halfway through April. Everything's fine. It's okay. Jumping forward like a week or so, my friend had asked me to take in her rabbit after her bonded mate had passed away. My friend had a lot of big life changes happening, and she wanted to make sure that the rabbit was being cared for and didn't think that her home was the best option anymore. And the only issue we had with taking in the rabbit was that she wasn't spayed yet. That can cause some behavioral issues with rabbits. Mischief is neutered, so that was not a concern. We weren't worried that we would have babies, but not being spayed can cause rabbits to misbehave. The unspayed females can get territorial, and Mischief having a new person that isn't spayed could make him territorial. So just in general, it was something we were a little apprehensive about. Before she got here, I broke down the enclosure that Mischief and Mayhem shared into 2 separate enclosures. I felt so bad for how small they were. Mischief was still going to be allowed to free roam during the day, and my plan was just to play it by ear with the new bunny to see how she acclimated to the new home and how she felt and how she behaved and everything. She didn't free roam in her previous homes, and with her losing her sister, I just wanted to take everything at her pace. My friend brought Malice, previously known as Flower, over with a lot of her old stuff, so we were able to get her set up, keep her setup more familiar for her. Before we agreed to take her, I didn't know what Malice looked like, and if I was honest, I thought she was a brindle brown lot, and realized right before she got here that she was actually an albino rabbit like Mayhem. And when my friend opened the carrier and she stuck her little head out, I saw her lines made, and I almost started crying because I didn't realize she was also a lion head mix like Mayhem. It was a very bittersweet surprise. Once we moved the carrier to the enclosure where she could reach the rug, she was curious about figuring out what was going on. She absolutely hates tile. She's figured out how to move on it better now, but she still treats it like it's lava, and she hates it. She hates the tile so much. Since most of her stuff came with her, I couldn't finish setting up her enclosure until she was already in it. I tried to be as inobtrusive as possible so I didn't overwhelm her. After we got her little house and everything placed, we sat around her enclosure to give her space to explore and just to get used to our presence in the periphery. When she started showing an interest in sniffing at me, I started offering her some pellets to see how she would do with some hand feeding. She still likes pellets more than she likes the Oxbow little cookie treats or any apples or anything. She loves her pellets. think she got comfortable pretty fast, all things considered. She did pee on a cushion that she could smell mischief on, but I think that was more of a manners miscommunication than her trying to be territorial. I made sure that any marking poops were immediately swept up and put in her litter box, and she learned the concept pretty much by the end of the day. After she got more comfortable and seemed pretty tired, I closed the enclosure to give her some alone time and to let Mischief out and about because he's used to being able to free roam. And I also split up the puzzles for the first few nights so that they could both have like half of them. Mischief had his out in the living room and she had hers in her enclosure. She never had puzzles before, so it was really fun watching her explore that and to give her a little bit of enrichment. All in all, this is the end of the vlog. We're gonna have more Malice content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me a bunny emoji in the comments. Let me know you stayed until the end, and hit subscribe if you want to see more content in the future. I hope you're having a wonderful day or that tomorrow is better.